Hello, this is a short video to introduce beach ball vocab, which is a fun game to reinforce vocabulary learning. All you need is a beach ball with some words written on it. It's the only piece of equipment you need, and you need some students. Here we have Luca and Felix, and we're going to demonstrate how the game is played. The game is highly adaptable and can be played with any number of students, from 1 or 2 up to perhaps even the whole class, and it's designed for students in Year 2.
But I'm in Year 1. Doesn't matter, we just have to attend.
Before we start, you might be wondering which words to write onto your ball. One idea is that they could come from your classroom word wall. Words can be added from the word wall onto your ball. The basic assumption is that every word on the ball has already been learnt and explored extensively in class. More on the words later. The game is really simple. The teacher passes the ball to the student catches the ball and reads the word that their right thumb is touching.
Prefer.
The teacher asks the student to either define the word or use it in a sentence, or perhaps even provide a synonym. What was the word?
Prefer.
Okay, Luca, can you define prefer for us?
To make a choice between 2 things.
Fantastic. Pass it back. Felix.
Vanish.
Vanish. Can you use the word vanish in a sentence?
Sure.
Bit hard. If the child can't answer the question, they pass to another child to have a go at the same word.
The magician made the rabbit vanish.
Perfect. With a larger group, we can structure it so that the child sits down after answering the question correctly, and the game would end when every child is sitting down. Luca, can you define the word your thumb lands on?
Observe. Observe means to watch carefully, or look and think about something or something or someone that is doing something.
Yeah. Felix, can you give me a sentence with this word in it? Enormous.
Enormous. The Titanic was enormous.
The Titanic was enormous. Perfect. That was a really big ship. Back to me. Now, this might be tricky. See what word it is, but we'll try for a synonym.
Prefer. This is fun, but why exactly are we doing this?
The purpose is to really reinforce new vocabulary. Teachable moments are great, but research has found that vocabulary needs to be explicitly taught and practiced for it to be transposed into children's expressive vocabularies.
What I meant was, why are we using a board to learn our vocabulary?
Movement is a deliberate strategy to stimulate the mind. Brain research tells us that children learn best when they are moving and learning concurrently. And remember, these words have already been learnt and discussed in another context. This is just one activity to reinforce students' knowledge. Luca, can you tell us what observe means?
Observe means to watch carefully or think, and sometimes even take notes down of what something or someone is doing.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay. The activity is all about teaching for depth. The key to teaching for depth of meaning is to facilitate students' interaction with the word by defining it, using it, and creating linkages to other words. This interaction is known as generative processing because the children are using the words to generate meaning. Research shows that we should focus on what's known as Tier 2 words. These are words within the general vocabulary which occur infrequently. Beck et al. Give us a simple criterion for determining Tier 2 words. We need to consider whether or not the students have other existing vocabulary to express the new idea. If they do, they will benefit from learning the new Tier 2 word, as this adds colour and precision to their language. In Year 2, the word wall and this game should comprise only Tier 2 vocabulary. I mentioned earlier that the Australian curriculum requires Year 2 students to make connections between words. Synonyms are a tool we can use for this. They're great for exploring shades of meaning. As an extension, the teacher might even ask a child to provide the synonym and explain how it is slightly different from the original word. For example,
Observe.
observe. Can you provide a synonym for observe?
See.
And can you explain how to see is slightly different from to observe?
Well, observe is like just watching really carefully and think about what this person or whatever is doing.
Yes.
And like seeing is just watching.
Exactly.
Just looking.
This is a challenging activity for children at all levels of English literacy development, but it's easily adapted. Learners of English may benefit from Tier 1 words, which are everyday words in common usage. Perhaps learners of English could provide synonyms for English words in their home language. A scaffolding option is to focus on definitive rather than contextual demands early on. You may have noticed that I rarely ask Felix to provide contextual examples, as he is only 6 and still grappling with some of the Tier 2 words. Luca, on the other hand, was extended with a request to articulate the difference between his synonym and the original word. The beauty of the game is that the teacher has the ultimate control over the exact demands on each child, each turn. The game is an informal assessment tool as well as a learning opportunity. Children are challenged to interact with the words, they also learn from each other, and teachers have the opportunity to observe for informal continuous assessment.
That game was actually quite fun. How did you think of it?
You can thank someone called Marcy. I found it on her teaching blog.